This conference will now be recorded.
Good morning. Okay, sure. More people join. Shall we start? Yeah, I'm able. I'm not able. Can you hear me? Oh, uh, you're not able to hear me now? Yeah, can you hear me now? Hello.
I can hear you.
Oh, you can hear me, right? Okay. Okay, great. Yeah, I'm feeling sick today, but take class for an hour. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, let's execute. Okay, so in the last class we have captured all the elements and extracted the individual pieces that we need to put assertions on or validations on till here, right? So this part and these two parts are remaining. Anybody did that? So individual parts are already done. Return price 303 till here. So we want to extract three more elements: passengers, tax, and total price. Okay, so if anybody has done, that's good. So let's do it again. Page flows. What's the page name? Flight confirmation. Okay, so we have captured everything, and I put everything in validation underscore confirm. If you want to segregate, you can segregate into four different methods: validate underscore departing, validate underscore returning, validate, but that's not really necessary. So let's do it the same. And actual passengers info is captured using getText method. So getText method gives the whole thing to passengers. So just to make sure, let's see the console. So console is here. Right, confirmation. So this is where my page starts. And where do you see two passengers departing info? Yeah, right here. We can add nice subtext or subheading if you want. But yeah, so we already know where it is, two passengers. And out of this, we want to extract. So obviously, you need to use some data manipulations or string manipulations, right? Actual passengers. So let's take actual passengers and right here I'll put this out. Okay, anybody has done this homework? Any inputs? Okay, so let's take this, and actual passengers has this thing, so I don't want to create another. So let's use the same actual underscore passengers and replace that with this, whatever we need, right? We don't need to create the another variable. Okay, now tell me, how do you capture, how do you extract this from actual passengers? So all you need to do is remove this word passengers, including the space, and you have the number. Okay, so tell me, anybody? This should be easy, right? So what is the function you want to use? Let me put dot and choose appropriate one. So one way is substring. Substring you can start from just first, you don't know how many, it could be 2-digit number. So you can split it space, and the first split function will give you first one. Substring, you can take starting position as 0 and ending position. Again you have to use another function to get wherever the space starts, so that is another one. And another method is using the replace all. Just replace the space passengers with empty and you got number of passengers number. So there are multiple ways of doing it. Okay, so let's choose the best way. Okay, so since we have not used replace all, right? So let's use replace all. So regular expression would be the whole thing, whatever is there. So it's literal, string literal is my regular expression, and to indicate it's a regular expression, I have to put in the brackets, right? And replace this by empty. So all we are left with the remaining portion, that is true. So hopefully that will work, and we will continue till this, and we'll run at the very end because it will take time to run. Okay, so for this portion, what is the actual? Let's print this. So actual passengers. Actual passengers, same variable. Okay, so coming to the next one, which is okay. So what is a variable? I named every variable as actual. So let's choose from it. Yeah, there we go. And I want to replace this instead of creating new variable. And let's use the string function. Okay, so now tell me, how do you get rid of this? So let's look at the actual value. So after 2 passengers, I'm getting this whole thing as a text, right? Now I want only this portion to validate. Okay, now give me ideas. How do you want to do it? Okay, are you able to hear me? First of all, I don't see any response.
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, that's okay, but can you respond to the question? I don't know whether you are understanding or not. Okay, so what is your idea? Tell me your idea. Then we will implement it. So, question again. This is the whole text or string, and out of this string, I want to extract this piece of string. What's the best way, or what's
Can we use stream
which one?
stream function?
Trim function. No, trim is actually for trimming out the spaces, white spaces and everything. So that's not actually gonna work. So okay, that's good start, but okay, go on. Other one.
We can go with the index.
Substring.
Index is also okay.
This bit also work.
Substring.
Okay, so we can go with the substring. That's one way. Okay, so I have already used replace all. Replace all is another way, but that will take twofold. So let's use substring. Split is another way. So anytime you can use 3 functions: replace all, substring, split, or combinations of all 3. So most likely that's the case. So let's use split. If you look at it, these are the most important functions in the string. And in between you have to use index of, because substring needs an index, and index is not static, it's dynamic. So in the substring along with index of will give you. So let's use the substring, because substring I exactly know where to start, where to end. So then you use substring. Okay, so I'll choose beginning and end because I don't want to go till end, Now it is asking me to beginning. Since we have already done this before, I want to do this in the single line. Is it okay? Because I don't want to create another integer variable for beginning index and end index. So let's do in the same line. So watch carefully. Beginning index. So now if you look at this, what should be the beginning index according to you? So this is a whole text. What should be the beginning index?
0, no? Well,
Okay. If we take 0, it will start with the dollar sign. So I want to get rid of this sign. So what should be the dollar beginning?
1, 1.
1. Yeah. That's why I said what should be the. I didn't say what is the beginning index. Obviously 0. What I want is not 0, 1. So 1. So that is fixed because it always requirement says it always starts with the symbol, and my calculation needs no symbol. Okay. Now tell me the end index. This is fixed. This was easy. Now how do you determine the ending? This is how you have to think. I mean, I'm
2,
telling you the thinking process. Okay. What is the end index? How do you
2.
Five.
determine that? Yes.
That's gonna be 5, right?
No, no, no. It's not a
can
number.
you take
Count.
space -3?
Space no, no. You have to tell me the whole thing. The space minus 3 is not gonna work, right? Now tell me your idea. How do you wanna go about it?
No, what I'm saying, like USD is like 3, right? So
Mhm.
if you take a space after USD, because then probably if you take -3, then it will take that USD out. Because if I put a space now, you are or probably a space +3.
But you cannot. You mean say space plus 3 like this? That's
Right,
not
right.
gonna work, right? So you have to tell me the whole thing. How do you want write when you sit and code for the coding in the Eclipse? How do you code it? So I'm asking you how you're thinking.
No idea. I'm lost.
That's okay. So okay, that's a good start. Your idea is good. So you want to take from the right 1, 2, 3, 4, including space, and the last index from the right should be fourth index, right? Last index of. Okay.
Right, right.
There is no such function. Last index of a single character is available, but the string function, string manipulation functions doesn't have how to get from the right to the left and give me the last index. Unfortunately, there is no such function. So we have to convert our thinking into Java. So let's see. Now, if I look at it, obviously it starts from, it ends at a space. So wherever, even though there is a cent amount, let's say 96.25. So then there will be space. That's a requirement again. How do you know this? Because it's a requirement. So wherever the space is displayed, that should be my cutoff portion. Then bingo, I got the last index. Okay. So now how do you convert this English thinking into Java? So there should be some function which you want to call inside this function, substring one, then one more function. Then basically you have to pass some index here, right? So the index could be 4 or 5. We don't know that. That because it's dynamic. Okay. So you have to get index of. So let's take a look at it. So all you have to do is again take the same string variable, right? And put it here. And string dot, that will give you all the options and choose. Okay, last index of is there. Last index of is actually, like I said before, it will give you index of a particular character. So that's not what we want. So index of length of pointed, no. Okay, then so simply saying, I already told you the answer, but you didn't catch it. Wherever the space is there, that should be your index, not even the last index. So I can take simply index of. Okay, and what should be my character? Character should be inserted in single quotes, I told you. Okay, what should I enter here? Again, look at this. This is very easy, but once you get it, it will be very easy. If you don't get it, it will be tough. Okay, so now tell me what should be the character?
Space.
Space, exactly. Space is also character. So that's why I was asking. Space, exactly. So let's understand this again. I want a substring. Substring because out of this full string, I want a part of it. That's why I'm going for substring. Okay, that's my logic. Now substring needs beginning index. Beginning index is 1, that is fixed because the requirement says the whatever this is the total, it starts with symbol, and I know how to get rid of this. Okay, so that's why it is 1. I'm directly starting from 1. If it says there is a space, we don't know, maybe there is a space, I just put a sys out, and I know that I put a space intentionally here and hyphen space. So that's space is my thing. Okay, getText function has a space in sys out. If you can go and check in the this one where infrastructure. Okay, so that is my space. So obviously I know for a fact that this is where it starts. Okay, now one is done, and actual now I want the last I mean second index, end index, where I need to end. So I am taking the original string again. Original string is not replaced with a new value yet, so I am taking the original value. Original value again is this. Now I am asking, give me the index, because I need to pass the index here. Okay, number, and that is dynamic. So I am asking Java to give me index of the first occurrence of space, and there is only one occurrence. Okay, so when I say index of, it only gives first occurrence. Even though there are more spaces, it only gives you first index, and that will give you this. So that's it. Okay, so that will give you 96. Simple as it. Okay, so now let's I'll just put a sys out now, and we will run at the very end. So that will save some time. I'll replace. So always put a sys out like variable name within quotes, that will be your string equals actual variable, so that when you look at the console, it will be clear what is the variable name and what is the value. Okay, so that is done, and let's go to the total price. So always it's a good idea to put a lot of sysouts during debug time. These don't look good actually, but if you create a function like log utils or something, we can call it. So we will concentrate on those later. So for now, it's okay. Just randomly put. Okay. Now you can easily tell me same thing. Copy paste. Okay. So tell me. Okay, without looking at this code, I'm hiding this code. Yeah. Tell me. What is the variable name? Actual underscore
Total
total price.
right?
Okay. Now I want to replace this with my desired value. Okay. Actual total price. Now dot. Which one? What do you want out of this right here? This is the one. Substring.
Upstream.
So yeah, substring. Yeah, I am asking you so that okay. Now what should I pass as a beginning index? Look at this and tell me.
One, we're passing one.
One, of
Wait,
course.
one, sorry, one.
And end index same way, exactly similar to this. Okay. End index. How do you
Index of
index of? Okay, index. Which index of? You need to specify the string again. Actual and exactly. So again, you have to specify string and index of particular character, and that is space. That's it. Okay, so let's this out again. Sure. Price. Okay, as a string. Okay, so we're done with capturing portion. Now let's run it again. Save it. So this page is taking longer than expected, but we are good because we put sufficient wait time. So this happens because it's sometimes the server responds slower because of different reasons, infrastructure or more you load. I mean, a lot of people are accessing. I mean, this is okay. This is a dummy site, but okay. So okay, so let's look at the values. So first things first, passengers we got to actual tax we got number, total price we got number, perfect. Okay, what is left over now? We get just captured so far, right? We did not validations yet, right? So now it's the time to put validations from the beginning. Okay, so from here deporting. So we have to put validations. So let's take a look at the data pool. Because some values are coming from data pool like New York, Paris, deporting city, and some values are generated randomly. I mean the price and everything we don't have control over. So that is from the rule engine. The site rule engine determines what's the price. Like it's subject to change, right? Right prices subject are subject to change. Okay, so where did we put here? This is updated data pool, so everybody should have it. The old data pool, we don't have the city and everything, right? So deporting from city, okay. Now for validations, we Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so I went, the audio went away for 2 minutes. Okay, so I was creating this function. I hope you were watching the screen but not hearing the audio, right? So expected departing city. First we declared and defined expected confirmation text, which is this. So expected comes from the requirement. Actual comes from the web page runtime. So that is a standard. And we are defining the expected for this city. And where does it come from? That's what I was asking. Where does it
From the
come from?
requirement.
How do you know the expected departing city is New York, right? Where did we get this from originally? So that's where it is coming from. So you can take it from there. So this is the actual value because it is displayed, but we want to verify whether this is the actually correct value which we entered in the previous page while we are booking the flight. And while we are booking the flight, where did we enter that value from? Anybody remembers that?
From the
Where,
flight booking page.
right, in the flight booking page, where did you get that value? This value comes from somewhere, right? We entered, this is a user value. I mean, I want to travel from New York to Paris, so that's my choice. I entered New York. So I stored this value somewhere. Where did I store it? Original location.
Oh,
The data pool, correct. That's what I was asking. So the data pool is the source, right? Departing from city New York. Now, what is my expected value for departing city?
New York.
New York, correct. Yeah, that is the expected value. That's it. So I want to get it dynamically because here I may have more test cases. My one might say I'm traveling from Chicago to New York, so it could be anything, right? So that we don't know. It's dynamic again in this perspective. So let's get it from now. How do you get it from data pool? That's the next question. We already done this before.
Something like op dot test data pool dot tc data, something like that, right?
Correct. Yes, yeah, that's it. You have to remember this once you're practice. Okay, test data pool. Test data pool is a class that is dedicated for reading the whole data. Okay, that you already know. This has the test data pool has whole row data. Now I created a TC data, which is a hash map, which stores key and value pair, username, automation user, address, this. So key and value. This is a key. This is the value. So now TC data is already populated with that. In the beginning itself, in the test case, it was loaded. Now I want to get it. Get what? What do I want to get? I want to get this particular keys value. So simply I pass this. Okay, so this is the standard mechanism for dealing with the data pool. Okay, simple. So that's how I determine the expected value. Expected value comes from data pool. Actual value comes from runtime web page. Okay, so now next thing is, what's the next thing? Next thing is the page, this one. So let's also determine, declare and define. So expected underscore arriving underscore city test data pool dot tc data dot get, and what's that? This one. So when you watch this, it looks easy, but when you sit before computer and code yourself, it becomes difficult. So that's why you have to practice a lot. Otherwise, you will forget it.
That's why we need the videos. When I practice, I forget everything, and I'm like, what am I supposed to do?
Oh, you're not shared the video? Asad, Asad will share the video.
No, we don't get yet. Telling him
Okay.
he didn't get yet. And Sangam, I have one question. You in my Excel is in my computer is expired, but you told me last time the free download. Can you give me that website? Then I can.
Sure. So that will be, I already downloaded and showed it to you, but I will show it to you again. Just type in Google Open Office. So this is free of licensing and everything. So you can directly access.
Okay.
And you can deal with open, read, write with Excel, doc, everything. So just download it. If you have Windows, download this. Otherwise, Linux, this one, or Mac, this one. So,
I have Windows.
yeah. Okay, so do this if you don't have, because if you don't have any Excel reader writer, you can't deal with the automation, because it's very important. So at least you should have
Okay.
something.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. Okay, so we have defined the declared and defined the arriving in city also. Now what next? The next thing is, what is the next one? We want to put a validation on
Date and the class, I believe.
date. Date also we put it, right? Let's see. I don't remember. Let's see. March 20th. Okay, you're right. So we put the date also. Absolutely. March 20th. And we didn't put the year. So obviously that has to be current year. You cannot travel previous year or next year. I mean, next year you can travel if you're in end of the period. Okay, so year also should be here. But I doubt it did not ask the year, right? So that's why it was taken. And if you want, we can prefix the year to current year 2019. And March 20th is the departing date, and June 19th is the returning date. Okay, perfect. So let's put an assertion on this one also. But did we capture it? We didn't capture it, I guess. We see departing info passing years. Let's come down.
I don't think I captured that one. I think we split that one.
City after city price. Directly we went for the price. We went for the class. So after city we went for this guy, class and price. So we only captured our departing city, arriving city, class and price. Okay. If you want to take this into consideration, okay, why don't you try it? Okay, try that and let me know. Okay, it's easy, same thing. Date is also there. You just have to just fix this year and put some slashes in between, and that will be your expected. And actual will be again same thing, substring. So similar way. So it's very easy. Wherever the date starts, already we have split, right? Wherever the regular expression, the date, use the same technique. Where is the date regular expression put?
Did they split? And we just took up the whole day.
Right, yeah. That's what I'm searching. You can try it. Yeah, this is the one. I split it, right? Actual departing and I split it, this portion. So it actually gave me this and this. So instead of splitting, because split will actually remove this and will give you left and right, except for this one. So you cannot use split. So all you can use is the starting position of wherever the number starts. Okay, so the obviously the number starts at the date itself. If you look at it, this is the requirement. Requirement says departing city space to space arriving city, then in the next line date. So give it a try. Otherwise I will tell you. If you want, I can give you int right here. So it's all about string manipulations. That's why it's very important to practice string manipulations. Even in a real-time project also, it's going to be useful. Okay, city. Then where are we? Okay, class. Okay, so this is very beautiful. Even this is so confusing because I didn't put these subheadings like this. Okay, there we are. Arriving. So in between date. Okay, so the whole section is called departing, right? And actual departing info. That's where it is coming from, correct? And we want the date. Okay, so now tell me, I'll just give you this date and you can put an, later you can proceed further. So let's see. Okay, equals, I'm gonna replace this. That's easiest way. Actual. Oh, let's not replace this, sorry, because I want specific, right? Okay, actual departing for underscore date. Actual departing info. Okay, so dot. What do you want to do? I want to get a substring again. 90% of the time you want to use substring only because it's easier. This is a whole text. I want a subtext, so substring is the best. So this one. Okay, now tell me. Substring takes 2 arguments, beginning and end index, and it's not that easy. It's not static, so those are dynamics because of the length. This could be any length, this could be of any length, so you don't know that. Okay, so obviously I have to use more functions. Okay, now my best bet is wherever the date starts, or in specific wherever the number starts. That's my first index, correct? So wherever the number start, how do you know? Wherever the number starts. How do you convert this into Java? How do you get wherever the number starts in Java? So wherever the number starts sounds like a regular expression again, right? So it's a number. A date is bigger, it's complicated, but number is easier. Number regular expression, you already know. What is a regular expression for the number? 0 to 9. Correct. This is a single number, single digit number regular expression or backslash d. Okay, so let's try that. So wherever the regular expression starts, beginning index. So let's take the whole info again. So index of character regular expression is not there. Let's scroll over. Starts with string prefix. Okay, so look for the function that takes regular expression as argument. Okay, split at regular expression is there. So if you don't have any other function, we have to go for the split, but let's keep. Okay, matches is not gonna work because it returns boolean. Trim no, value of no, replace. Yeah, sure, go on.
So instead of taking the index, the beginning index, can we just take a space and add whatever before a space and add? Give me that.
Whatever the space, but there are more spaces, right? 1.
So can I just
2.
take that?
Oh, yeah, that is for the end index. Yeah, that's right. The space at the rate is for the end index, but we want the beginning index as well, right? So you're right about that. For the at the rate will be taken into consideration for the end index calculation. But for beginning index, we want this. Okay, so
So we can
Paris.
also do what we did for Paris, right? We can just take what we did for Paris and put it for getting the 3, or I mean, whatever the date is.
That's a good idea, right? So wherever the Paris word ends, okay, I can just get the index of that and add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever the number of. Again, we don't know, right, where we are traveling to, Paris, or it could be Zurich or wherever. So again, we'll take the length of. So that's a good idea. Let's go for it. Okay, so that is good. So let's capture the value of this index of, okay, not index of, but okay, so where this value comes from, Paris word, index of, the value actually comes from the data pool, isn't it? So let's take from the data pool itself. So test data pool dot pc data, because that's the easiest way. So depending on the test data pool will give you accurate value. Dot get, and what is that value? Test data pool's value is arriving in city. So it could be anything, like I said. So depending upon its value, we will take this value, and this whole thing is nothing but a string, right? This whole thing is nothing but a string. This, okay, this whole thing, okay, that is nothing but this. This is a string. Okay, so I want index of that, index of wherever this starts. So how do you get it? Index of which one? Actually, index of this one. So it's little confusing, but what's this? Index of, okay, so I'm going for the index of string, not the character, because the string is the one which has a Paris. Paris is a string. Okay, now in the space of string, I'm going to pass this. Makes sense? Okay, so that will give me accurate number where it starts. Okay, be careful about any ending quotes, beginning quotes. Let's see. Index of, okay, you cannot put double quotes inside because it's already string. That's why it was showing error. Okay, now okay, so that is the index, but the, okay, one more thing is this will give you this position. Obviously we don't want that. We want to get this position, unless there is no space. If there is a, looks like there is space, but we will get it when we debug it. So obviously it looks like it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 words, okay, and maybe 6 words. That's, don't worry about it, right, about that right now. Okay, how do you determine this? Because we don't know this. This could be any value. Again, it could be London or any other value. So you have to add that number.
Whatever that is, can we add 1 to that, class 1? So give us
Yeah.
space.
So now I want the length of. So length of is another function. So I'll take the whole thing. Actually, I can put it in a variable instead of using the same thing. So let's put it in a variable. That will be more elegant. So I want string. What is it value? Arriving. Arrive. So let's call it temporary variable. I mean, already there are more variables. Okay. So arrive city is my variable, and I am taking arrive city and passing index of this plus, right, asking it to give me the length of the arriving city. Okay, so arrive city dot length. Okay, so that will be appended. Index of arrive city, right? Index of arrive city is string, integer, that will be, wait a minute, index of arrive city is a string. Okay, it's a string. Now I am giving it a string, and okay, so here you have to be careful. I am adding string to the integer. So index of, okay, let's take an example here. It's confusing. Paris. Okay, so this will give me Paris, right? Arriving city. I'll put it here. Okay. Okay, so now we want to get the index, simple index, wherever it starts from. So in the substring, I'm passing this whole departing info index of this string. Okay, so let's cut this off. This is not correct. Okay, so now it will give me some number. Okay, so what the mistake was, I put the plus inside. That's not correct. So I have to plus the whole integer. So this is the whole integer. Now to this integer, I have to add the length of this arriving city. So the plus inside would be wrong. So the just plus inside bracket makes a difference outside and inside. So now plus arrive city, or not this arrive city dot length. Okay. So there is a space or not, we are not sure right now. I mean, we can check in the console, but let's keep it aside because I am going to leave it for the homework, right? So you can fix that. And end index. Okay, so some student has given the idea that we can take the @ into consideration. So how do you implement that idea? What is a function? What is a function? So you want to stop at there is a space. It's again same thing, index of a string. That's going to be helpful.
Right.
Similarly, index of a string. So just keep in mind that there are two functions, index of a character, index of a string. So these two functions, combination of these two functions are going to be useful a lot. Substring and pass the index of character or index of string. That's it. I mean, you can look at other functions also, but this is 90% of time. Okay, so let's take that and you have to write it. Okay, how do you write it? The whole thing again. The whole thing
Sangam,
is,
this is what I don't. Sorry, Sangam, this is what I don't get. So which one you need now? Actual departing info or arrive city?
no, we are looking at this one, right? That we are capturing the date, departing date. This is when we are traveling, right? Now, what is the starting index? Starting index is right after the arriving in city. That's why I took this Paris into consideration. Okay, it's nothing to do with the arriving. It's actually departing date, which starts when arriving city ends. You mean in the display?
So we need the departing info, right? Then index of.
That's why I took departing info. So see, actual departing info. I'm taking the original variable, actual departing info only. Okay, don't worry, I'll explain again. So end index, let's work on it and we'll come back again. It's a little bit confusing, I know, but okay, let's finish this. End index. Now tell me. So always you start the whole string first and take a substring out of it. What is a whole string? Whole string is, I put everything as actual and just take departing info is whole string. Now dot index of, okay, index of string again because there are multiple occurrences of space and everything. So this could be it, right? And put it in a double quotes and end and put a semicolon. Okay, so they looks like error. Did we not declare it? No. Okay, we declare it now. Yes. Okay. Okay, so now let's go through again because it's quite confusing, right? Because the way I'm thinking and putting immediately. Okay, so simply saying you want to use substring because you want to extract a part of string from a bigger string, right? So go for substring, easy. And this function needs two arguments. One is beginning index and one is end index, which are numbers actually. So literally you have to tell 17th position is the starting position and like 25th position is the ending position. Just I'm saying, okay. But here this is not so easy because these lengths could be anything. Okay, it varies from 20 to 50. It could be depending upon the length of the cities. So I took this Paris and asking it to give me wherever it ends, and bingo, it gives. Okay, it gives actually this, and add this length to it, and it gives this, actually this. Okay, plus or minus, you can do it later, plus or minus, because it starts from 0, and you can do the debugging. If you're very experts, you can figure it out in the beginning only. But if you're not you don't have too much expertise in string manipulations, don't worry. You can debug and see the value in sysout, put sysouts and see the value, and accordingly you can determine plus or minus it. End index is simple. Wherever it starts this string, give me that, and it will give me exactly this portion. This. Okay, so that's exactly what I passed. And for Paris, I actually took the help of test data pool again, and test data pool dot tc data dot get arriving city give me whatever the arriving city is, and out of this I'm getting index of arriving city. Okay, the whole thing dot index of arriving city, because it starts from the beginning. I want to start and I want to start at the end of it. I just add those characters, which is nothing but the length of that, whatever the city is, like this. And end index is simple index of this particular string. Okay, that's how you go about it. So the main idea is to give you idea how to think. Okay, now you are going to implement this. Okay, now first class I'm going to take it. Okay, this is for to do, so I'll just put to do, and the to do means you have to do the homework. Okay, so you can easily find out the to do by looking at this symbol. Okay, so now let's come back and check. Arriving city is done. Arriving city, after this we are going for class. You can even put this one also for the validation or capturing. First capturing is very important. Once that is done, validation is very easy. Capturing is very difficult. Okay, so first, okay, now we need a string variable, and that we want to call expected underscore class. Okay, so let's look at the variable name. Accordingly we will name this. Okay, so I called it return underscore class. Oh, not return underscore class, arriving class. Where is the arriving class? Depart class. Okay, so depart class, but let's call it actual. So let's call this actual underscore depart underscore class, because that's most that how we are naming. So how do you rename without breaking? Refactor. So I want to put actual word underscore depart underscore class. So you can put capital here. Now see, as and when I'm typing, it also corrected here. So just press enter, automatically it will update all the occurrences. Okay, so this is the name for actual. So I'm going to use the same name. but replace actual with expected. Okay, now how do you assign the value of this expected class? Where do you get this from? In the data pool class. Okay. So by default we are traveling to and fro in the same class. Okay, so if you want to differentiate, you can vary by mention two different classes, depart underscore class and arriving underscore class. But we will take it from there. Okay, what's next? Price. So we already got this number only, and let's see what's the value of our variable name. Depart price. Again, this is not a good name for it. Okay, so let's add this word again, actual underscore. Depart price, and final depart price is the one which only has the number. I mean number in the string format. So we have to again parse it. Okay, so we'll parse it later because for validations we want to parse it to integer dot parse int. So let's control shift R is not the control shift R. So shortcut for the refactor is alt shift R. So you can simply select that variable or just click on that variable and press alt shift R, and you can rename it. So I am renaming it as this, capital, and press enter. Enter new name, press enter, otherwise it won't refactor it. Okay, so it just refactored it. So let's use the same name. Class is over, then string. Okay, so where does it come from?
It's
Where
come
does
from automatic system, whatever you choose from the software, I mean from the application.
Right. So some values, some expected values come from the data pool because those values we enter. These are the user input data. Some values are determined by the rule engine. So these doesn't come from the data pool, like you said. So, but we have to get it from somewhere. So how do you get it? Depart price. So simply you can do one thing. You can look at the first page, where you actually enter the flight info and store it in a variable and take that as expected value and this as actual value and compare it. So that will be your technique. So let's look at the page. That should be your find a flight page or something. For the first time, when did you encounter this flight price? So let's look at it. Flight finder page. Not this one. Select drop downs, all the drop downs are there.
Flight page probably have.
Flight page. Okay, select flight page. Okay, so in order to do this, we have to again run till that portion. Okay, so this has really, okay, looks like this one because in this section we selected the flight radio button. Okay, so after this page we put one more validation, right? So that has it. So after this, book a flight page. Yeah, so we can actually take it from here. Depart price. Okay, so we actually worked on this because it was a table, and remember, okay, depart price, but we want okay, so we can take a string but final variable, whatever. So obviously it will give final variable. Okay, so that's the passengers. Expected total price is okay. Okay, let me go full screen. Okay, so here I am parsing. So we will use the same technique like I said. We have to parse it to get the number. So this is a string 281, and when you parse it, integer.parseInt, it will give you the integer integral value of the same string 281 as a number. So that's what this function does. Okay, so before that we can take the number, but I don't want to get confused in that class. So we will again take to the parseInt later. So modified total, not total price. Okay, I guess we have to take this as is depart price. I just want to make sure. Okay, so we renamed it. Integer portion is renamed as int. So this is a pure string depart price, isn't it? Or does it have dollars? Directly I'm going for this. Let's
Sangam,
see, you can actually how many times it is selected. The variable is selected 2 times, so in between there is no. So I can take this. Yeah, tell me.
the price depend on both going which class you are taking, right? Doesn't you have to count both in order to get the real price?
Sorry, I didn't hear you. Can you speak louder?
No, I'm saying in order to get validate the price, you need to consideration the location that you are going from and to, and the class that you're choosing. Don't you have to put both to validate this price?
Okay, from what I hear, you're saying in order to validate the price, in order to validate the price, you have to go with 2 pages. That's what I heard.
The location that you're choosing, because the location has price based on the class that
Location. What location?
where you are going. So I'm saying like in order to choose in order to validate the price, don't you have to put the location that you are going to take it to consideration as well
Which
as the
location? That's what I'm asking. I'm confused. Which location? Location means index of location or the page location?
no the departing location like New York to Paris. That's what I meant. Do you have to put
Oh,
that?
okay. That is okay. New York to Paris is we don't know the price, right? The price first time wherever it displayed. So this is the thing. So wherever it displayed first time when we were booking the flight for the first time, it showed some price. Now we are validating the same price is showed in my bill. Just treat this as an invoice bill, okay? So that we don't get extra or less, okay? So that is the thing. That is a validation. So we are taking that first thing as expected and this thing as actual to compare. Simple. So first time it was displayed in this page and we put a validation on that, so that's okay. I mean, this was not actually validated per se, depart price. I captured these to validate the calculation of the total price, whether the calculation itself is correct or not. Okay, summary. In the summary we captured everything and did the parsing and everything just to get the total price correct or not. See, that's why there is only one validation on total price. You got this right? There is only one validation, that is for total price. So the whole point in this page was to validate whether the calculation, the plus or minus, multiplication, division, whatever is done in between these total price, number of passengers, is correctly calculated or not, or whether the developer has made a mistake. Simple. Okay, you understood, right? Now we are validating in this page that whatever the price was displayed while I'm booking the flight is the same price that is shown in invoice or your bill, credit card bill or whatever, or in the flight confirmation page. Okay, so you got that right? Don't worry about the location from location where you're traveling from, where you're traveling to. It is irrelevant in this case because it's just price. Okay, so now you want this value. Okay, now how do you get this value in other class? There are multiple ways, but how do you get this value in? I am in this bouquet flight, and I declared a variable called depart price, and I want to use this value in flight confirmation page here. That would be my expected value. So one way is to make it a static value, right? Thereby you can call using the class name. So let's do it. So I'm going to create a static string. Okay, so I just declared the static string, and okay, so it doesn't ask me to initialize the value. So this depart price, okay, depart price is staying outside. That's it. Okay, so let's actually write this value. So writing value will be the best idea. So whatever this value is, we will write it to. So far we have been reading it from the Excel. So for writing, we will use, it's going to take a little bit of time, but that's okay. So we will use property utils. Okay, so I'll take the utils because I told you utils take a lot of time, and I'm going to take the utils. Okay, property utils here. So these are on the need to know basis. That's why I'm taking one after another. Then we will take screenshots and all those stuff. So I'm directly pasting it. So it's almost like downloading a jar file. Okay, you can make a jar file out of it and then add it to your build path. That's so okay. So let's see if this needs any jars. Yes, it looks like it does. Okay, it actually uses raw data. So right now we are using TC data. Okay, so I'll just briefly explain. You can go through it, but the main idea of this utils is to utilize and use it. Okay, so the main purpose of these property utils is to read and write from property file, read from property file, or write to a property file. What is a property file? Property file is a flat file like text file, but with the extension property. Okay, and in order to write some output data to be able to read from it later point of time in the execution itself, it's the easiest way. We can write it to Excel also, but we want to use this Excel for data pool purpose only. That means only for reading. Okay, if you write extra here, it's going to be corrupted mainly. Okay, so we want to dedicate this for reading. So that's why the best bet is property file is a standard developer procedure. So in this, I created two simple functions. One is how to read a property file. So obviously, when you say read, you have to give path of the property file and what property name. Okay, it similarly acts as a hash map. Okay, property name and property value. First name equals to Sangam. Similar, property name is first name, Sangam is a value. I'll show you how it works. So properties is a class. I created an instance of it using new keyword. Properties props is equal to new keyword. And for dealing with any file, you have to create two instances of two classes, file and file input stream. First, I created a file, and the file class takes path of where you stored the path, where you stored. So this will open the file, and file input stream will be open for reading or writing. So for both, you need to create an instance of file input stream, and this takes file instance. Okay, This is the standard mechanism. Even in Excel utils also we use this. And this is even simpler. All you have to do is in the props, okay, so the instance of props dot load, just pass this file input stream instance, okay, so that way it's open for reading. Okay, now all you have to do is you have to return that value. So return type is string. Now I want first name, then I pass first name, I'll get the first name value, or last name value. So that's why I'm passing property and I'll get the value. Okay, so all I did is props dot get property, just like get hash map has get function. The properties class has get property, and it takes a property name itself as argument, returns me the actual value. So it looks like first name equals, after equals whatever is the value, that's treated as the value of it. Second thing which we are going to use is property file underscore write. Okay, so the naming convention I put it very easily, so you can call it using class name because I made them static, most of them. And this also takes path and property name and property value, because I am writing new property or overwriting the existing property also, same thing. For example, I want to add let's say address. Okay, so address is equal to 123 Main Street, so I'll pass address property name and 123 Main Street both, because I am writing. Okay, and if the address already exists, it will overwrite. If doesn't exist, it will write it at the very end of the file. Okay, so these are standard file transactions. Okay, path anyway I have to pass, so same thing. Properties instantiation, file input stream instantiation. Then I have to load the property file. Okay, and then if the property, set the property. So instead of get property, I have to set it. Get is to get and set is to write. Okay, so I pass property name and property value. First name Sangam or something. Okay, then I have to store in this whatever path is, and I'm just writing into the console so and so property, set for so and so property, and whose value is this. Okay, so let's use this. Why we are using this?
So we can get the dynamic value, whatever it is.
Because in a class called bookaflight page, I have a variable value which I want to use in another class. Okay, so the best bet is write it to a property file and get it from there. Okay, so in here we are going to write it. So utilities are ready, property file utilities. Okay, but you have to choose a path. So let's make it a part of the project itself, because if I store it in some other location, it's going to be very difficult to share, right? So for that, data is dedicated for Java files only. So mostly it will be, what do you want to call this package as? Let's call it config or properties. Okay, so config word is not used anyway, so let's use config. So it's most likely the configuration settings. So I want to be able to, later on I want to set browser type like Chrome or Firefox in that and read from there. So you don't have to mention every time. So just write one time and read it many times. So that's whole idea. So let's create a package called config for configuration in short. Okay, so that stays on top of everything. C, alphabetical order. Okay, so in this I will create a file actually. So file has to be created in the beginning. So let's create a file, or you can actually put it in the resources also if you want. Let's reserve it for property file. I'm thinking what is the best way. Resource is used for data pool, so let's call it output dot property. Should it be there in the resource or config? So config again, these are reserved for Java files only, so let's keep in the resource only. Okay, all the rest of the files, non-Java files, will stay in resource. Okay, that's better. Otherwise it's I mean it's easier to track if you put the files. Okay, so let's put a new file here. Okay, and the file name I want to mention is test data output. Okay, so that's easiest way, because it's test data but it's output that we are getting from the page output. It's not input but it's output. Okay, and you mention the extension also, properties. Okay, that's the extension. Okay, so that's it's looks similar to the flat file .txt file. Okay, so the how does it look? If anybody has not seen it, like I said, first name is my property, followed by equals and Sangam. Okay, so color coding is automatically done by Eclipse. So the first name and blue color is a value and the black color is a key, and separated by equal sign. So if you have any extra spaces, those will be taken into consideration. So you have to be careful. So if you have space like this whole thing is a property, and if you don't pass this, it will give you null pointer exception. So, and the value will be written as this. So no spaces at all. Okay, and if you have spaces in the value, that's okay, but not in the property name. So just make sure property name doesn't have. Okay, so I'm just creating one, or let's create one more. Automation equals Selenium. Okay, so if I write something to it, it will be appended at the very end. Okay, so here next line. Okay, so this is the file name. I have the path. I want the path, so I'm taking the path. Take this, and the path of this is the whole thing. And if I want to make this dynamic, because some people are putting in different folder locations, so I'll tell you how to take this path dynamically. For now, just use the same automation project C drive resources. This is a whole path location. You can copy it and come back to bouquet flight right here, right? So we want to store this value, depart price. Okay, now I have created a property util, and there are some functions. That's all I remember. Let's say you are working on the first time, and let's just type properties. Okay, so there you go. It's in the utils. You will get it, and all the functions are static functions. So you can put dot and choose. So property file underscore read. There are more, but don't worry. Just use this two only. Property file write, property file read. I want to write something to it. Okay, I'll demonstrate the read also. So let's call write, and it takes a path. And standard mechanism is we are storing path in somewhere where it is constants. We can pass hard codedly, but it's not. So let's create a static final string again. Let's call it test data put underscore path. Okay, so what's the mistake again? You have to replace this slash by double slash or forward slash. Okay, so you can put double slash or forward slash. Okay, now it's corrected. Okay, so let's use this here. Okay, so path comes from constants. Again, it's a static variable, so directly call from constants class. That's a convenient way. Constants dot, which one it is? Test data output dot path. Okay, so now let's say we want to write which one we want to write, depart price. Let's use the same name. Okay, depart price, that's my property name, and it's a string, so put it in a double quote, depart price, and the value I'm going to write is whatever the value it was while it was captured in this page. Okay, so now let's see what value it will write so that we can debug and correct if we get the wrong value. Okay, now this is for writing. I'll just write a comment, write to property file. So now you understand the purpose of this property file transaction and why we are doing this. Okay, so now let's come back and get it from there. So we wrote it in the previous class, in the bouquet flight class. Now we have to read it from there. Where? Read it from where? Here, when it writes. Okay, I'm not writing. I'll let the Java write it in the next run. I mean, I'm going to run it in a minute. So I have to read it. Now, how do you want to read it? Same way. So tell me how to read the property file.